Alright class, this is Christian. Welcome to Angular. In this video, let's create a module and see how that can be injected into the application here. So again, the module has three things, right? You import statements, the ng module decorator, and the export class module down here. So let's create another module. We'll call it maybe let's see, special, so we call it, I guess we call it user module. Okay, I'm going to go into the app here. I'm going to organize my file a little bit better here because, you know, if you create all your modules, they're all like going to be all bundled up together here. It's going to be really big. So I'm going to create a subfolder, right click, and a new folder. We'll call this the user folder. So inside the user folder, we're going to create a module. So new, we'll call this user.module.ts. All right, so we're going to also create it, because remember a module must have a component as well. So again, do a new file. We're going to create this a user.component.ts. Okay. And if you want to follow the same structure, if you want to put all your files on a separate files, it's usually easier to manage that way. Why don't we just do that? So I'm going to need a new user.component.html. And if you want, you can have your own style rule. I mean, if you want to. If you don't, it's okay. But I'm going to put that anyway. So I have all the files I need, right? The main module will import the component into the module. Okay, so let's start with the module here. So the module, first we need to import the ng module. Okay, so import the ng. And this is going to be coming from the root, the core. Okay, so we then also need to import the component. So we import the component. We call it the user component, capital U, capital S, capital U, component. This will be consistent here from the same directory as the user component. The next thing is the ng module decorator. Inside here, again, you just need to do two things, right? You need to declare all your declarations. This would be an array of modules, components. So we just have only one. So put that in there. And then the next one is if you need to import, export anything out, right? So put that in there as well. Again, if you don't remember, you can just always like copy this, okay, and then save it, and then just change the things that you don't need. So I'm not going to import any other module. If I do have other modules, I would import it here, but ours is going to be just a simple component, so we'll just leave it as is. So basically, that's pretty much all you need for this one here. I'm declaring it because I'm using this in my module. Then down here, we need to export this module. We call this the user module. Okay, notice it's not a component, it's a module. Okay, so that's all I need here for this part. Did I miss something up there? Let's see. Maybe I'm not completing yet, so let's just save that for now. And then go into the component. So the component part, we do something similar, import. And so usually when you do this, it depends how you do it. You can do top down or bottom up. Top down means you build your module first and you go down to your component and to your templates, right? But if you do on the bottom up, then you will go into your HTML first, build your view how you want it, and then go into your components, and then you go up the other way. So how we do it is just entirely up to you. And we have the component. Oh, this is the component, so we can import the component from the component, the core. Usually most of you just pull from the core, and that's the only one we need. So if you have other I think later on we'll import some more, like the injectors and services, things like that. Then we need to use this component decorator to ensure that this is a component, Angular component. We need two things, right? Minimum selector. What do we call this selector? It's a user, so we'll call it a user. Let's call it user. I guess a user info. And then we have a template. I'm using a URL, so template URL. And this is going to be in the same directory. It's called user.component.html. And if you want to use the CSS, you can say style URLs, same thing, user.component.css. Okay, and then the export part. Export this class called user component, and it takes, if there's no parameter, then there's no parameter. Okay, save that. Then there's some errors here. Okay, that means our template has not been built yet. That's why it doesn't have anything there. But we'll see. Unless I did something wrong. Okay, so in the template here, we're going to have just a H2. We'll put here a title. Maybe we'll use a variable called user info, or user info or something, right? Put that there. And then we'll put maybe we'll put another one here. Maybe not user info. You just put a title. Title is fine. And I'll put another paragraph here. This is the user component. Save that. Okay, go back to the component, and we need to inject in here. Did I do something wrong here? No. I want to see if I did something correctly here. So a component, yeah, that's what we did. All right, special component. I'm going to close that. The user module, user components. Close that. Okay. I think the URLs here. Okay, completely throws everything off now. Let's see what happens here. Let's try it again. Template URL. It's not liking it. Okay, what I do wrong here? You know what? I'm just going to go and copy what they have and put it there. I might have a typo somewhere. And we'll change it. Delete that out. Delete that. And the tag is user info, right? User info. The this is not the app, it's the user component. This is the user CSS component. Okay, so we can save this file. So we got the component taken care of, and in our user component HTML we have a title component property. So we need to add that in here. So all your data will be in here. So title is going to be a string of a user info. Okay, you put that there, and you have this error because it's expect that one. Okay, fine. All right, so let's save this. Now I need to go into the user module. It's being created. right now it's not being shown anywhere because we didn't inject that anywhere into the application. Okay, so we need to go to the root module or any module that want to use this module. So the only ones that we have is the app module, which is the root module here. Okay, so now I can go ahead and include the module up here. In addition to what I have up here, I'm going to import the special module called user module. And this is coming from, so you have to get the correct location, right? It's in the folder called user and then the user module. Okay, it's in that directory. And once I import it, then I need to include that in the imports. So this would be the user module. So if I save that, probably nothing happened here because I did not inject that user info anywhere, right? To include that, we had to put into the file here. As you can see, there's nothing shown here. Let's just say we're going to put it I guess right at the very bottom down here. So I'm going to go to the root component, and down here I need to add this user info tag that I created. Okay, and if you save this now and refresh the page, if it all goes well, which it didn't, and we'll find out why. And so the info tag is not known. Okay, I probably mistyped that in my user component. Yeah, the user info and my add modules, I include that in here. Okay. Oh, you know, I think the reason why it doesn't know is because I have to also export the component out. Okay, so we declared the modules. We export the module, but we did not export the component. Okay, so in here, you need to add another line, and we'll export. So all your exports. So you have your imports and exports all together. If you have other module you want to import, then you will put the imports here. But then if you want to export this module or this component out, you put it in the exports. I think that's what we're missing. So user component export. So we export that out along with the module, goes to the add module. We import that in, and that's all we need to do because it's already exported together with the module. So you don't have to go into the declarations and do that here. And this is only you do this only if it's in the same module, or if you don't include that in the module. If you were to import that component directly without a module, then you do it here. But since it's in the module already, you don't have to do that twice. Okay, so if I save that, I go back and see. Yeah, so there, yeah, at the very bottom, here's our user info and then the user component here. So again, this is coming from the property we created inside the user component here as a title, and the title we use an H2. That's where you get that one there. Now to put style sheet, again, the user component CSS, it's empty, but you can go here and you put the H2, and H2 we just put like color maybe green. Okay, and that's the only rules we have, and so that should change to green down here. Okay, so when you add a component CSS, this only applies to this component. It is not spread across the entire page. As you can see, there are a lot of H2s here, but you may wonder why, because if you apply H2, it should not be applied to all of them. Well, yeah, it should, right? But using Angular, it would inject some special data in addition to that H2, so that it's only unique to this particular element. And I think if you press F12 key, you should see that inside the CSS and the DOM here. So if we go into the H2, the user module, right? So here you see the H2, okay? It has a special underscore ng content dash C1. And so it injected that piece of data into our style sheet. So our style sheet, as you can see, it's been modified, H2 with a bracket, and then you put that special code in there to make this unique only to this container, right? Only to this container user info. So that's what it is. H2 here is also unique because this is a special, it has a special application to that particular container only. So it separates out all your style rules separately. If you want to apply H2 across the board, then you need to go up to the root of the document, which is the index.html out here, right? And apply here. So you would attach a style sheet to this index so that it will apply across the entire application. But of course, internal style sheet will also override the external style sheet. So, but that's how things flow. So let's recap this for a minute here. So I created a new folder called user. Okay, in that user, I created a module called user module.ts. I created a component called user.component.ts. I created the necessary template and the style sheet if I need it. And then in the module, I import the component once I created that component already. And then, so if you're going to go bottom up, maybe it's easier, create my view, what it should look like. Okay, my component, create my component, and create a selector for that so I can inject my view to that location and use my style sheet and apply my HTML. And then export this component to the module. So the module import the component, adds it to the declaration because it needs it, exports it out to other modules. Other module can use it as a module and not a component, right? And then the add module, we added that to the add module through the import, and we just add the imports here. Alternatively, if you don't want to use the module, right? If you want to go straight to the component, and if you want to add that directly to the root module, you can. You would do it exactly the same way. So instead of going import, let me just comment that out, right? You could go here and then import that in here. So I'm going to say import. So you do the same thing. This is the user component. It's coming from, where is it? Well, you make sure we can go to that same location, right? It's inside the users folder, and it's called the user component. And then now, instead of in the imports here, I'll put in the declaration part. So I'll just put the user component. Okay, and if you save this, it should still work. Okay, nothing should change. So as you can see, it's still down here. And just to really make sure that works, I can go back and change something here. Change the component to say user information. Save that, and here it reflects that here. Okay, so you have the options of importing the individual component, or you can put all your components, because you could have more than one, under one module and import the module only, so you don't have to add a component. If you do this, it's redundant, right? If I go user module. So yeah, so this is redundant, and it's gonna have an issue because you have duplicates. Okay, so just one or the other. You shouldn't do both of them. And then it should work just like the other one. So I hope this is a little bit clearer as to how you can create modules. And one thing I missed earlier was that you need to export your module. Export all the components that you need. If you only export one component, if I have two of them, and I only want to export one, then you put that here. So whatever is not exported will not be used. Okay, so thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.